So this tip, I would have killed to have known this when I started photography and videography. Everyone wants to know how to do it, and this is pretty much how you do it.
So I just woke up. It was supposed to be a 30-minute nap. Ended up being like 2 hours.
I heard your alarm go off like 5 different times. You snooze. I'm like, bro, just turn your alarm off.
I'm a heavy sleeper, dude. Yeah, I wake up and then Hayden's like, hey man, you ready to go? And I was like, where? He goes,
to the gym.
To the gym. And I was like, we're on our way to the gym now, and Hayden's trying to do his Q&A.
Keep on interrupting me. Mike keeps on putting up the music. It's like some Russian music. It's like Tripanovsky.
I'm really not looking forward to this gym, but I'm just gonna show all these cats up. Just watch.
One massive tip in photography and videography is it's not about the equipment. And I know like you probably won't want me to like say this because it's super cliche and stuff. Most of the time, it doesn't actually come down to the equipment. It comes down to how you've like positioned the shot and the lighting and everything like that. Think about composition, think about lighting. Specifically with lighting, if you're shooting outside, daylight lighting is like, it's much more difficult to shoot because like the shadows and everything are much more harsh and super contrasty. If that's what you're going for, then by all means do that. But in my opinion, and with a lot of other photographers' opinions, like having a nice, smooth, consistent skin tone is really important. It's not about the equipment, it's about just going out and shooting and figuring out like the whole situation. All right, so your first exercise, go out and shoot. It doesn't matter if it's daylight or whether it's cloudy, whatever lighting conditions. Go out and try and find some consistent lighting conditions, so in the shadows or something. That will be your first exercise. Second tip is just to get used to using your camera, so your shutter speed, your aperture, your ISO, and to get used to doing this stuff, it's just practice. Repetition is the mother of skill. Start off with, you can just do auto and stuff, but the thing is, if you do auto, you're not gonna get used to like all the individual settings. So that's why, in my opinion, it's good to throw yourself into the deep end and shoot on manual, because if you shoot on manual, you can get used to all the settings, and then the more you do that, the more creative control you have over your camera. So the first exercise you should do is switch that thing to manual, go out, even if it's shit, it doesn't matter, you just go out and do it anyway, and then you'll get better progressively over time. The third tip, this is more of a really specific kind of tip. Everyone seems to shoot their B-roll in 120 frames, but a lot of people don't actually know the reason behind doing it. They just do it because they think it looks cool, which is absolutely fine if that's what you want to go for. But as a filmmaker, the more you progress, the more you'll start to think about why you actually use specific things in your camera. Like, depends on what you want to like convey to the audience. If you want to do 24 frames per second, you can do like fast-paced cuts and everything. You want to have like real-time feeling, or you can have 60 frames or 120 frames if you want it to be like more dreamlike and like nice and smooth kind of thing. Which me, for my channel, I actually shoot a lot of my B-roll in 24 frames per second because it forces me to not like go like with the slow motion stuff, which is like super easy to do, you know what I mean? Always be mindful of the kind of settings that you're using in your camera to convey that certain thing that you want to convey to your audience. Does that make sense? So an exercise for this would be doing a B-roll sequence just using 24 or 25 frames per second, no slow-mo.
Wait.
You've never done it before, have you?
I guess we're doing it right now.
All right, let's do it, baby. All right, now it's definitely recording. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's do this, baby.
So Hayden didn't press the record button.
Oh, fuck.
Here's the thing, when you're shooting 24 frames, you need to make everything look as good as possible. So take your time on your composition. You can't rely on 120 frames to make things look good. So do it on purpose. So I told Hayden, hey man, on this shot, go ahead and grab the bars in slow motion so that I can make it look like it's dramatic. And on top of that, what you can do is speed it up, because if I speed it up and then I slow it down, that 24 frames is gonna look like it's slow motion. So we're kind of cheating it. So that's how it's done.
So my third tip for beginners in photography and filmmaking is always overshoot, never undershoot. If you think that you've undershot something, the best thing you can do is just shoot as many different things as possible, whether that be different angles or whatever. Same with photography. Like if you think that you've gotten a shot and you're like, yeah, I'm happy with that, or even if you're not happy with it, just switch it up, be creative with it and change around the angle. It's always better to have more than less, especially when you're editing, so always overshoot. All right, so the actual exercise for doing this is very simple. Literally, next time you go out and shoot at least twice as much as what you would usually shoot. So the fifth tip would be just to talk about aperture. Just really briefly, like aperture can like sound really confusing and stuff, but aperture is pretty much the f-stop on your camera. High aperture, which is actually a low f-stop. This is gonna sound super confusing.
Very confusing.
Yeah, if you have a low f-stop, it means that your depth of field is gonna be shorter, which means that you can have that blurry background in your video and your photos. But
and it also means that the aperture itself is gonna be really wide open, which will let a lot more light in.
Might be overexposed on your image. So you can compensate by lowering the ISO as much as possible, but also increasing the shutter speed.
No.
Is it low aperture or is it high aperture?
I don't know. In contrast, if you have a higher number, say like f22, that means the aperture is going to be really small, but your depth of field is going to be really wide. So everything is going to be in focus.
And that's what I would have killed to have known when I started, because I always love to have that kind of cinematic look where the background's nice and out of focus.
And you're like, how do I actually get that? And it's pretty much just by having a lens that can go down.
The lower the aperture, the more of the like blurriness, the nice like sharpness you'll get on your subjects. And
Don't be scared of like higher f-stops, because like higher f-stops actually can look really good.
Yeah.
Because imagine if we go outside and then I shoot like a 1.4 and I have a great landscape, you're gonna be like, dude, I can't see the freaking landscape.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
don't be scared of high f-stops. There it is, guys. You got your tips from Hayden Pedersen himself and myself along with the boys. Feel free to go ahead and practice that stuff. Send it to me on Instagram at KeyWorking. I truly want to know what it is that you are working on. Now we're here with the boys. We're gonna go ahead and watch a movie. And honestly, I think that's a...
Dude, if you don't subscribe to this kid, I'm gonna crack it.
Dude,
You may as well unsubscribe
like
from me.
and subscribe.
Guys, don't be mean to them. Don't be mean to them.
Don't be mean to my friend, my only friend.
Dude, why aren't you working out?
Dude, what's it look like I'm doing?
Yeah, you get it.